data team strategy. And the name is Goodbye Dashboard, Hello Search Query. What will be your data team look like in 36 months? So for this panel, I want to welcome Andre Albuquerque, Senior Manager, Cloud and AI Digital Skills Mobilization at BMO. Peter Berdeklis, CTO, Independent Trading Group. Dennis Rodriguez, Director and Head Strategic Initiative, AI Enablement, and Vendor Strategy at Scotia. Like another person that is like, you're doing everything in Scotia, apparently. And myself, like I'll be moderating the panel, all right? So, welcome, guys. And let's start then. Oh, people are still eating cookies, apparently. Let's start with giving a brief introduction of each of you so people can know a little bit more about who you are, what you do. So let's start with you, Denise.
All right. My name is Denise Rodriguez. I am the Director and Head of Strategic Initiative, AI Adoption, and Vendor Strategy. I work for GRN, Global Risk Management at Scotiabank. It is a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Peter.
Hi, I'm Peter Berdeklis. I'm Chief Technology Officer at Independent Trading Group. We're a small brokerage. I come from the electronic trading side, worked at banks and hedge funds before, and we built the technology for a brokerage from ground up.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Andre Albuquerque. I lead all the Cloud and AI Digital Skills Initiative for the technology and operations teams within the Bank of Montreal. So my role is basically support our 20-plus CIOs and leaders, providing them with the right skill set to address their needs in a timely fashion way, providing impact at the right time to deliver results.
All right. So yes, I'm still waiting for a lot of people, but let's start with the first question. And when I saw this panel, my first thing was like, well, search query sounds like those things that look like very obvious, but might have like things that we don't know. So, and I don't know if everybody is familiar with the search query. So I wanted to level the field and have a question which is like, what is specifically search query, as well as why are the reasons and motivations to pursue them? Do you want to take it, Peter?
Sure. So I think I'm a little different from my other panelists in that I work in daily operations. We have a bunch of servers that are running constantly, trading algos, connecting clients to markets. And for us, a dashboard is an indication that either everything's going well or something's about to screw up. And so for me, when something turns red on the dashboard, I need to know really fast what's broken and how to fix it. And unfortunately, the really fast part is the hard part, because human beings, we have all kinds of different servers dumping logs. We have to start searching logs, see what timestamps match with other timestamps, what led to the failure, and then figure out a plan to fix it. And we have to do that in minutes at best, because our clients have been disconnected from the exchanges and can't trade when that goes down. So for us, search query is more about triage. It's about how fast can I find out, given all of the data that has been piled into our log files, how fast can I actually identify the problem, and how fast can I identify what I need to do to fix it. So it's all about speed, and for us, AI turns a human investigation into a high-speed investigation.
All right. Andre, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I'm going to move away from the operations side. I think Peter described really well. But if you look at search query in general, you're looking at a new way of tapping into data, right? We are usually very keen when we have dashboards, when we are looking at specific metrics that are well defined. Well, as you can imagine, things are changing. And when you have the ability to actually use natural language, to ask questions, to tap into the data, to extract insights, which is extremely valuable for those leaders, the C-levels, who are really trying to go above and beyond those known metrics that are in the dashboards. It's the whys, the what ifs, right? Search query really brings the ability to explode that scenario into so many different options to bring pretty much real-time insights that are not, again, tied to going back to my developer and asking them to change that dashboard, and a week later I'm going to have that insight. No, I have access to the data, and I can literally inference that data to grab that insight right away.
Okay, thank you. And what is needed in order to make it a reality? And then I'm gonna point that to you because you haven't talked yet, Denise.
What is needed? I think that you need having a strong governance around, having the right controls, data security, lineage, traceability. You need to also evolve from dashboard builders to decision product makers. Also, you need to have AI literacy. It's not only about asking questions, it's about asking the right questions, challenge the outcomes, challenge the results. So yeah, also is needed a strong change management, because in this journey that we are evolving and embracing AI and the interaction, we need to ensure that we have the data, that the process, the people, and the technology evolve all together.
Okay, very important. I'm gonna quote from Marvel, Uncle Ben. Great power comes with great responsibility.
Absolutely.
And for what you're saying, it sounds like there is a great responsibility on the side of the builder, which is in terms of guardrails. I read a case of having a search query, and then the first people was very excited, but then there were a lot of hallucinations in the things that were being provided by the tool, as well as in the side of the user, like you're saying, like the right prompt, doing the right prompt is gonna become important. So yeah, like it's two sides of the coin that need to be there in order to do this well. It's not just about doing it. It's about doing it in the right way. So Peter, what do you think about this?
So for us, we have an absolute requirement that it can never give us the wrong answer. And unfortunately, AI as it is today never tells you that it doesn't know. Never tells you maybe it's not that. It will confidently give you the wrong answer and give you the reasons why it's wrong. Sorry, give you the reasons why this is true, even though it's completely made up. And if you are trying to solve a hardware failure in minutes, the worst thing that can happen is to be led in the wrong direction to begin with, right? At least in the data analysis space, you guys have the luxury of time to be able to say, wait a second, maybe this doesn't make any sense. Let's go back and start over again. And we never have that. So it's really important for us to take AI and to train it to, these are the outputs from our servers that are normal. These are the outputs from our servers that are wrong. If this is correlated with this, look up this playbook and hand it to me quickly. But don't make up a playbook. Like, I have literally dealt with AIs that have told me to choose menu options that didn't exist. And I would argue back and forth with them for minutes, telling them that that doesn't exist on that screen. I can't do that. I can't expect my team to do that when you're under the pressure of a phone call from the client saying, why can't I trade? When are you going to get this thing back online? So what we really need to do is to train and guardrails. We all talk about guardrails. For us, guardrails are, here's the reality. There are only so many possible outcomes. Don't make anything up. And if you don't know, tell me you don't know, which they absolutely don't do right now.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like my father. Yeah, he would know everything.
Yeah.
But, like, really? Would he?
I do sympathize. I have the same trait.
Yeah. So I think we're already addressed a little bit of the next question. However, this, by the way, each of you were like, this is, put as the one that wanted to participate the most. So I'm going to let the three of you talk. And it's like a little deeper on this subject, which is what are the considerations people need to keep in mind to be aware to prevent a bad outcome? And I'm going to start with you, Andre.
That is a very interesting, at the same time, very key question that we all have to answer. I think the biggest challenge that we all have right now is the over-reliance on AI outputs, right? When we look at, and again, out of this audience, like how often do you work with ChatGPT or DeepSeek, like anyone? Like many times a day, let's be honest, right? How often do you really ask that specific system to explain or reason that answer that it gave you? A lot of people, they just rely and take that as a truth answer, which again looks right most of the times or not, but it might be a massive, huge hallucination.
Yeah.
So it starts with you taking that approach of, number one, I really like this analogy. It's like when you have a headache, you take a medicine, right? The medicine is there to ease your pain. It's not solving the root cause of that pain. It's just easing the pain. Why are you having that headache? So if you're not able to understand what is the reasoning behind that output so that you can then change the way you ask the question, you're going to be in trouble very often, right? And I've seen this happening. I've seen a massive over-reliance on AI outputs. I know people that they cannot write an email anymore without having Grammarly or ChatGPT double-checking everything. I mean, this is becoming something serious. You have to be careful with this. And the second thing is, of course, the enterprise side of it. Everything starts with AI governance, right? We often see companies, leaders talking about, let's start a pilot here, let's get this data set, let's build something. Is this really the right approach? You have to really take a step back and bring AI literacy to the table. You have to bring the right leaders, involve governance, security. AI, the whole responsible AI principles, they're absolutely key for successful implementation. And you have to start small, right?
Oops.
Okay. Don't go like with a huge project. Start small, right? Like deploy a chat window in one of your dashboards. Give it to a small population. Let them try a little bit and see if there is value, if they're really extracting value. Only then you can start expanding this to different or to a larger population.
Amen. Yeah, and I'm going to tie this to a previous talk about cybersecurity from the AVP of Manulife. He talked about the car wash question, right? Like that's been circulating. That it's like if you ask, should I take my car? Should I go in the car? Or should I go walking because it's very close? And most LLMs were saying like go walking
Just
because
walk.
It makes sense. So and tied to my own usage. Because what I'm thinking now is sometimes I ask ChatGPT and I also have Gemini, so I ask Gemini to compare and feel like I'm doing LLM as a judge or something, or seeing if like I'm validating. But if you think about the car wash, they did that. They asked two different LLMs, and most LLMs had the same approach and the same error. So I'm thinking, what you say is lighting up in my head like I'm doing this wrong. It's not enough to ask to two LLMs because they are training the same data, and they're still learning. So it's very, very important to understand that and not over rely on the answers of these LLMs.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, I think that is a great point, right? Having the right guardrails in place to ensure that accidentally people don't bypass controls. But also it's important to have clear consistency around definition of metrics, variables, and having a strong semantic layer. Because sometimes it can happen that we can have a variable data that means different from regulatory perspective, from financial perspective, from management perspective, and we need to make sure that we have consistency, right? The other point I will say that is having a strong governance, accountability, because meanwhile AI is taking care of having right answers, somebody has to take the ownership of the data, the ownership of the logic behind what is the controls that we are having, right? So yeah, these kind of things.
Yeah, accountability is quite a subject, right? Like if a self-driven car goes and do something, then who is accountable,
Exactly.
right? And yeah, like it's internally, maybe it's not as obvious as the car, but we are building or right now, for example, in my case, we are we're deploying more things that are augmenting people's capability. We yet are not going full agentic on having agents doing end-to-end things. However, that's coming. That's what we've been asked for. And then something to take in consideration when we do is well, sooner or later, as humans as well, because also in the first one, Lori talks about humans also make mistakes at scale. It's just that a human is doing it. But now, machines might also make mistakes. Who takes the accountability? Because in the case of a human, well, whoever did it is going to take the accountability. But this is different. Peter, what do you think?
Sadly, in my world, I take accountability. No matter who does it, it's my fault. So
And you get credit when things
I
go well?
never. That's not the way it works. Elon gets all the credit, none of the blame. I get all the blame, none of the credit. He did something right. I've obviously done a lot of wrong things in my life.
Yeah, me too.
And so the issue still becomes, again, we always say guardrails, and it's not just. I am closer to the accident you would get in a self-driving car than either of you would be in the use of AI. Because if something goes wrong, it's not only that instead of being down for 5 minutes, I may be down for the day. It's also that if you fully automate, God forbid, or follow without actually thinking about what you're doing, there's a good chance that it's going to tell you to do something that's not reversible. Like if I commit this, I may have to scrap everything and reload from the last backup, which is a nightmare scenario. And so at every stage where we're talking about a human in the loop, you have to teach the humans to A, trust but verify. I wouldn't be using the AI if I didn't think it could help them as a tool. But at the same time, I have to be fully aware of the risk of hallucinations, the risk that it's hallucinated, that, apparently it read some line in a log file. Well, show me what line it is in the log file, because I need to read it as well. Have you ever asked AI to give you the link, the source from which it's suggesting? A lot of times it made it up. It'll give you a link, you follow the link. It says nothing about what the AI just said. So there's a chance that it hallucinates the evidence. There's a chance that and again, this is one of the worst, that it convincingly tells you a lie. That it's not just that it is wrong. It tells you the thing so convincingly that as the operator, and again, operator under stress, I really want this to be right. And it has presented the idea in a way that I really want to be correct because I need to fix this now. And if I don't slow down and verify, if there isn't a guardrail, I'm big on developing a UIs that ensure that there's a visible change, right? If there isn't some visible guardrail that I've designed as the designer of the whole system, right, to say, hang on, now, are you sure you want to do this? Have you checked everything? That's independent from the AI. That's just mechanical. So in every situation, the big risk is the AI taking over either explicitly because we fully automated or implicitly because we trust it and become the agent of its automation.
Yeah.
That if we don't use our own human judgment as well as experienced operators, then we're going to end up doing lots of foolish things, and things in my case that are not easily reversible.
Yeah, for sure, to things that is like, one, yes, like they are so articulated, as well as are designed for engagement, right? To keep people, because it's a business. So then it's like, oh, wonderful question, Daniel. You always ask so many good questions, and this is your answer. And then, by the way, you rock. And then you're like, oh yes, this is real, this is true. And then, like, we believe, even if it's a hallucination. And the other thing that is super important, what you're saying, is our ability to roll back. And also going back to over-reliance. Is like, as people relying on this, like, I wouldn't say that we're going to become stupid, but in a way, like we're more dependent of this. And then if we realize at some point that, okay, this is not like actually what we thought, or this is evil, or this, I don't know, and then, or there is a legislation that comes and say, no, because then this is going to keep, the economy is going to collapse because people are not going to have jobs. We don't know yet how this is going to unfold in 5-10 years. And then let's say that for some reason or another, we have to roll back. You're right. It's going to be very difficult. And not just in a technological component, but in a human component that is like, now try to say, well, let's remove Google Maps from our phones. We will not be able to get anywhere. We'll be like, we'll be staying home, like,
forget about it.
I don't know how to get to the supermarket. It's like, it's like traumatizing because we relying on these tools. And we become dependent.
So I'm glad you brought up dependency, because part of the problem, especially in my world, is that you still need to have a fallback position to what if the AI isn't available? What if the thing that is out is the internet and my cloud doesn't exist anymore? Can I really go to my CEO and say, I don't know how to fix the internet because I can't get to the ChatGPT to tell me? Of course I can't have that answer. We still have to have, in every situation, enough institutional knowledge in our teams to be able to do the things on our own. Yes, it will be slower. The reason that we're building the agentic tools is to help us be more efficient and faster at it, but that doesn't mean that we aren't still the domain experts. We still need to know what it is we're doing. Otherwise, we don't even know when we've been hallucinated at.
Yep. Very good point. And, okay, so we know what is, we know what are the risks. Now let's go to what is the value trade of this technology. So what people should know about the cost and expectation of value generation. Let's go with Andre.
Well, that's a really good point. I think both cost and value will come. I think the cost comes first in this situation. You have to invest in, of course, cloud infrastructure. You have to invest in LLMs. You have to invest in so many different aspects of building an AI solution. However, the first thing that you have to do, again, is back to governance. You have to have established, well-defined AI governance to really shape this properly. With that, you can start looking at the new roles that are being created. I mean, the whole idea of data right now, right? If you really move away from the dashboard, like we initially started the conversation, data now, you won't have more dashboard analysts. You will likely have that data project managers. You have data owners, and they are the ones that are going to be very busy getting those things right, setting number one, a really good layer of governance, starting with the data. The data, it doesn't matter if you might be the smartest person in the table. If the data is not right, this thing's not going to work. I mean, this is the basics of the basics, right? And then start small. As soon as you have this set, pick a small project, pick a pilot, right? Make sure that you are there into those guidelines that you define with your AI council, for example. Make sure that you have AI champions. And also, remember, with AI adoption, you have to have AI literacy. This is very important. New roles are going to be created. You have to envision how this is going to shift the company. You have to envision how these roles are going to bring the right value at the right time with so much speed as we are seeing these days. So The cost is going to be there, right? It's going to be likely upfront on a bunch of things. I would recommend, again, starting small, and you go with the pay-as-you-go model, right? As soon as you find something that is stable, a project that is well-defined, and it's behaving the way you believe with constant usage, then you can start maybe going into something like a consumption plan that will bring more cost savings to the table. And the value comes with time as people continues to use the data as the source to extract insights live whenever they need and ask those what ifs, the whys, instead of just looking at a metric in a dashboard.
Right, very interesting. Because when I had that question in mind, of course, I thought more about what you said last, which is the computational cost. But it was interesting for me that you started with the people cost. We need new people to start with guardrails, and we need new roles.
New skills. Let's clarify. It's not new people.
So
you need new skills. You need to retrain people.
Yeah.
Like the side conversation we had. Like we all have cars. Well, we do have car mechanics since the 60s, right? The difference is that a car mechanic today, they don't have to disassemble the whole engine to find that one bolt was broken. They just plug a cable. It tells exactly what is that issue. So the mechanics are here. They just have to evolve with the technology.
Good. What do you think, Denise?
Totally agree with Albert. So, yeah, it's a cost associated in terms of technology, in terms of cloud infrastructure, cost associated in terms of change management in people and how they are going to adopt this new technology, because also there are a lot of people who are afraid to losing their jobs. So, yeah, but also when you think about it, how fascinating is that these days you can prompt a question and ask, what are the upcoming emerging risks that I am going to face right now in the next, a couple of weeks. And you get the answer so fast, and you compare with before that you used to take like 3 weeks with having a deep dive analysis, and now having that information in minutes. There is a cost associated, right? There is a cost associated behind that is having right data, governance, right infrastructure.
Okay. Yeah, so you focus a little bit more on the cost. You focus a little bit also on the value that brings. I think it was a very rich conversation. I don't know if everybody was super familiar with Search Query before this, but for sure, after this conversation, a lot of people know much more about the technology, the risk, the cost, as well as the value that it brings. So thank you very much. Before we leave, we have 2 minutes, are questions for the panelists. I think we can have one question. There is one gentleman there that is very brave. I want to get the microphone.
Sorry, thank you. This question is, I think, more for Peter, but whoever would like to answer it, I'm more than happy to hear the answer. You were talking about the cost of believing a hallucination of an AI model, and also how difficult it can be to necessarily notice when it has hallucinated or when it's leading you down the wrong path. Have you experimented with any solutions to, I guess, notify a user to give extra caution on this specific query, because maybe there's some iffy logic there, or just detecting when the AI has potentially gone off path?
So I really believe in a trust by verify at every stage, right? So the AI is not just saying to us, I've identified these messages in the log files that indicate this error. The AI then has to provide the link. So a human being actually has to read it. Does that mean it's slower? Of course. Does that mean that I'm not going to do it? Of course not. Because this is where I'm adding value to make sure that you didn't just invent that line. I'm calling it you. The AI didn't just invent that line. I can see that the line is true. I also need to have a playbook where, this means I do that. And if the AI suggests something wildly different, then back off and try again. But at every stage, not just for the operator to be certain, but also for governance, because we're all working in regulated fields. And if I do something wrong, I need to at least have a log of all the things that got me there, right? I have to have an audit log to say this is how I got here. And so the AI explicitly printing out, here's where the log line, here's the log line I read, here's where you can find it in the file, and it matches with this. And yes, I did the confirming, means that I have an audit trail. So even if, God forbid, I end up picking the wrong solution, I didn't do it because I was an idiot. I didn't do it because I was following along without thinking. I have a trail that shows that we actually did the work.
I'm seeing that we ran out of time, but I want to thank you guys. It was a great talk. So big applause for our panelists.